Orange post-game show. The Vols snapped the 6-game losing streak with a 42-17 win over the Vanderbilt Commodores. Jonathan Crompton, former Vols quarterback. I'm Austin Stanley of A to Z Sports. Our Big Orange post-game show always here, brought to you by BioPure Music City, changing the standard of clean. Protect your crew from the flu with BioPure Music City, and also from Ashbuster's Chimney Service, your chimney experts for sweeping and inspections before this winter season, as well as custom masonry, ashbusters.net and ashbustersknoxville.com. Jonathan Crompton here live with us. El Boogie, hilarious comment out of the gate. This is a great way to start this show. El Boogie says, I feel like the Vols just won a game against the Jets. Then we'll talk about the Butch Jones situation and how
I had to Google it. I saw the comment. I Googled it. Yeah.
Yeah. Butch Jones gets a new job, which means he doesn't get his last couple of checks from Tennessee. So we'll discuss that. But Crompton, again, Big Orange Game Day brought to you by BioPure Music City, BioPureService.com, and Ashbuster's Chimney Service at ashbusters.net. All right, I'll let you start. We'll dive into the one word, describe how you feel, but your initial reaction to the second half, because halftime show got a little heated there as we were discussing the differences of Bailey and Stroud and how some people were just wanting to be positive, because Tennessee was leading 28-10, but 42-17 is the final score.
Yes. Do you want to go one word? Or do you want to be?
I'm just curious.
One word is just. I mean, I'm going to stay the positive route. One word is expected. I mean, they had 18 scholarship defensive players. You expect to win this game. I mean, you expect to beat Vandy every year, but they had 18 guys that actually were on scholarship to play defense. One guy gets hurt, you don't have a backup for 4 positions. I mean, come on. So I'm going with expected. We played good enough to win, and a win is a win is a win. It doesn't matter how you get it. So I'm very happy about that because we obviously needed it, and the guys in that locker room deserve it. The players, let me take that back. The players deserve that feeling. You could see the emotion coming out with Velus Jones Jr. and the couple of touchdowns he had. That's awesome to see, and I love to see that. But overall, Vanderbilt was 18 scholarship defensive guys. That's just that's not being negative. That's just a harsh reality.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt had 49 guys to play this game.
Half a roster.
Exactly.
Half of a roster.
And, I'm just going to kind of lead into this a little bit. We'll get into obviously more detail. But the people are trying to say that, admit that I'm wrong about Bailey over Stroud. No, once again, I never said that Bailey was bad. I never said that he shouldn't play. I strictly said that in the first half, he played a little better, or Stroud played a little better. The numbers at the quarterback position are always skewed. If you look at 7-7 in the first half, dude, he threw 3 behind the line completions. That's the stuff that I'm talking about. And it's not a slight on him. It's play calling. Notice what they said in the beginning of the second half as the commentators. The coaches even said Bailey's deep ball presence needs to get better. He does not throw a good deep ball. He had a wide open post route. He overthrows about 10 yards. That's the stuff that I talk about, not against him as a quarterback. He does give us a good chance to win. But if he doesn't improve on a lot of things, just like every quarterback, then we've got a long way to go. Stroud throws a really good deep ball. But like they say, Stroud, he's the high-risk, high-reward guy. He's going to throw it in there. It's a 50-50 chance sometimes. So that's his downside. So all I was getting at is Stroud gave us a better chance in the first half because he played better in the first half with what he was given. Obviously, he gets 1 attempt in the second half. That's where I'm not in agreement with Pruitt. If he said he pulled Bailey because he held the ball too long on the sack fumble.
Right.
Well, that's not a reason that's not a reason to pull somebody.
Right. I agree.
And the same thing if don't pull Stroud in the second half for an interception. That's all I'm getting at is I'm not agreeing with the coaching style, but we do have 2 good young quarterbacks that I unfortunately don't think will keep them both though.
Yeah, because we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Wednesday being December 16th when Caden Salter is saying he will sign with Tennessee, who's another incoming true freshman who will be an early enrollee to join this group of quarterbacks, and we'll see really what that is. But there's so much confusing coaching decisions that continues to happen with what's going on now. So the question that we're asking right now is, what is one word to describe the Vols win over Vandy today? What is one word to describe the Vols win over Vandy today? I did see some comments. I'm going to try to scroll back up and see.
I'm interested to see some of these.
Yeah, and I've got mine too. Coach Cutshaw just says, whatever. John says perplexing. Let's see more comments that I want to scroll down to. Jeff says hilarious. He's not a Vandy fan. And animated, he's not a Tennessee fan. Animated Gamers on YouTube says decent. Chad says needed. Needed is absolutely a word. John with perplexing. Different from Terry. Let's see more comments. One word's irrelevant from Brandon on YouTube. Robert says unsatisfying. I'll change Robert's comment and make it fit. Unsatisfying for Robert. My momentum, relief, beginning, mismanaged, late, fireable from Seth. Look, they're not going to fire Jeremy Pruitt after a win over Vanderbilt. Now, what does this do? Because, look, again, there's no reason why Tennessee should not have hung at least 50 points on this Vandy team, especially when you have a defensive touchdown.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. 7 points of that was not on the off or not for the offense.
Yep.
I want to say this one thing, though. And, I mean, it is what it is. There's a comment saying that I should admit that I'm wrong, that people got to admit they're wrong. When did I ever say that one was better than another?
No, never.
Please tell me. No, but that's what I'm going to ask that person. Please tell me. Who is this? I've lost it. There's been so many. Caleb, please tell me when I ever said one was better than the other. If you go back and you actually pay attention and you listen to somebody, all I said was he gives a better spark this game. Hence, this game. You get one attempt in the second half. Hey, he probably shouldn't have. He shouldn't have thrown that ball, so it shouldn't have been a pick. But he did. High risk, high reward guy.
He also had zero protection on that interception.
Oh, exactly. But if you take away the 74-yard touchdown, right? And I'm not. This is not a slight on Bailey at all, because dude played well in the second half. He did. He really did. Take away 74 yards. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do this for you real quick. It's 133 yards on 13 completions. It's not like we're throwing the ball all over the field. That's all I'm getting at.
All right, Jake Kennedy says Austin was wrong from the start of the season. Laughed my ass off. He thought this was a 7-win team. Well, I'm gonna laugh my ass right off at you, Jake, because I did not say that.
No, that was me.
Yes, never once did I say Tennessee was a 7-win team. You guys just prove week after week that you don't listen very well.
I said 7-3. I meant to say 3-7, though. That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I said 6-4. So I did say 6-4. And look, this team 3-6 right now. Look, they gave away the Kentucky game. They gave away the Arkansas game. They gave away the Georgia game, to be honest, in the third quarter with all those fumbles. But all right, so back to the question of what's one word to describe how you feel about this Vols win over Vandy. My word, I don't think I've seen it yet, because I usually like to scroll through the comments to see if someone said my word. Empty. Empty is my word. I feel empty after this win about Tennessee Volunteers. What does this win mean? Nothing. It's just you had a team that was decimated by COVID, by opt-outs, by injuries, by fired coaches, by guys just saying, I'm done dealing with it. And you beat them by, you scored 5 touchdowns on offense. You scored a touchdown on offense 5 out of 15 possessions against 18 scholarship defensive players. That's not good enough.
Yeah. No.
That's not good whatsoever. And I feel empty about this because they gave up 17 points. They shouldn't have given up 17 points.
The thing that I need to specify real quick, because I want people to understand, I'm seeing a comment that says I'm not blaming the players at all. At all.
No.
They played I'm serious, they played their hearts out. Bayless Jones Jr. played an awesome game tonight. He did. And I wish we could have kind of utilized him more like that all year because he's shown he's explosive. Bailey was only doing what he was coached to do. I've never said he's a bad player. He can improve on his deep ball. He improves on his deep ball, he will take more chances. We will win a lot of ball games. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's all. I just like to see us take chances down the field, but in the right time. Dude, he protects the ball well. He always, you can tell he does. So I've never once said that this is on the players. And what I want people to go back and watch if they'll watch the game over, go back and look. And this is what irks me about some of the coaching. 4th down, we go for it. You know what? Good job not turning the ball over because at that point it's just as good as a punt, right? Right. Throws it away. Live to play another day. Winky literally walked away from him. That's what hurts me. This dude's a true freshman.
Yeah,
he's a true freshman. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let's pause here because I want to be able to expand on that. And I also just read Jeremy Pruitt's comment on why he was swapping quarterbacks in the first half. So I'm going to read that comment from Jeremy Pruitt on why he was swapping quarterbacks in the first half. And then I want you to go in on Chris Winkie because you texted me about this during the second half and you're like, oh man, I'm ready. And so I want to give you the full floor to do that. So I'll read the comments of Jeremy Pruitt's reasoning for swapping quarterbacks. But first, real quick, let me tell you guys about BioPure Music City. Protect your crew from the flu and the coronavirus with biopureservice.com. BioPure Music City, 615-635-0555. Let's be real here. Christmas is coming up in less than 2 weeks. If you're going to have your family come over, make sure your house, your business, whatever it might be, disinfected by biopureservice.com, EPA registered hospital grade disinfectant that is proven to kill the flu and the coronavirus. So go to biopureservice.com, 615-635-0555 for BioPure Music City. Protect your crew from the flu. So now here is the comment it's from Rocky Top Insider on Twitter. Jeremy Pruitt on the decision to swap quarterbacks in the first half. Quote, we just kind of went with a feel for it there, end quote. This is a coach that has zero plan and has zero clue on how to operate the quarterback position. So I will read it one more time, and then I will
I want to hear it again.
Yeah. It's quote, and I've seen this now from multiple people have tweeted out the same quote. We just kind of went with a feel for it there. Like that's like when you're trying to decide what you want for dinner. You just go with it for a feel, right? Not your quarterback. Crompton, the floor is yours.
And I'm at a loss of words with that because that's not how you treat a player. It's sure as hell not how you treat a true freshman he was playing really good up to that point. Like I said, my only criticism is I just want to see us take chances. Well, he can't take a chance if we don't call a play. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the reality. So I can complain about that, but that's not a complaint on the player. That's a complaint on how we're calling for that player. You know what I mean? So that kind of irks me a little bit in the fact of he didn't do anything to get pulled. I understand. And all you had to say there was, well, we planned on playing them both in the game because he said that before the game.
Yeah.
Hey, so that was our opportunity to put him in because that was the plan from the get-go.
Say you had a plan.
That's the smartest thing you can say.
We had a plan.
So that I can go here on hours on that one.
Oh my
God. What gets me even more is, like I was saying before that, Winky literally walked away from Bailey. Dude, this kid's a true freshman. First off, even a senior needs that coaching, needs that, hey man, it's as good as a punt. Doesn't matter, something. It's a coachable moment. Even if you do the right thing, which he did, there's still a coachable moment. And he just literally blatantly on TV just walked beside him. I don't even know what to say to that, because how can you do that to the kid? Like, that just, I don't get it. I really, truly don't get it.
Yeah, Jimmy says JG talked to Shrout and Bailey after an offensive drive more than Winky did. JG was more
exactly. JG's more of a coach. JG's more of a coach to those younger kids, and they took his job. That should show you the type of human he is and the type of teammate he is. he literally is willing to coach the 2 kids that took his job more than the quarterback coach.
Yeah, which is
I'm not cool with that.
I'm not either. So what does this win mean for Jeremy Pruitt? Because to me, like, if you going into this game, everybody that watches the Tennessee Vols or has an interest in the Tennessee Vols football program understood that if they lose to this Vanderbilt team with this Vanderbilt roster as it is, 49 scholarship guys, 18 scholarship guys on defense, y'all know the numbers, that's a fireable offense. And at one point, early second quarter, Tennessee was down 10-7. Now, they end up scoring a bunch of points in a row. Bryce Thompson gets a pick 6 that kind of started that run with 3 touchdowns in the second quarter to pull away 28-10 at halftime. And then the final score, 42-17, really 35-17. I texted our lead writer at our website, Zach Reagan, when it was 35-17. I was like, if this is the final score, that's really bad on Jeremy Pruitt. Really bad. 35-17, only being able to win by 18 points is not enough for Jeremy Pruitt to look like a game. And then all of a sudden you get a 74-yard touchdown catch and run by Velus Jones Jr.
And by the way,
a lot better.
Yeah, but what a good job by him protecting the ball, and good job making the throw in the second window. Even better job protecting the ball when you catch it, and then just bouncing off the defenders. I mean, overall, just a phenomenal play and a great way to kind of end the game for them.
Yeah.
Because the players deserve this. Like I said, a win is a win is a win. The players deserve this feeling of just earning what you work for. We should have had it more this year, obviously.
Yeah.
But to get it in any way, shape, or form is such a good job. I mean, the feeling is unlike no other. And I'm more hurt, and the reason why it sounds like I'm being negative, I'm really not. I'm being the harsh realist on the fact of these players are not being put in the best position, in my opinion, to be successful as I think we can be. If I didn't think we could win 7 ball games this year, I wouldn't have said I think we can win 7 ball games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I truly, truly felt that. But to do that at this level, you have to be put in the right position by the coaches. Every player, no matter how old you are, needs a coach to get you along the way. That's why they're coaches.
Right.
And I'm just not. It hurts me because I'm not feeling that. No, I'm not saying this about all of them.
Yeah.
But there are some that do not. I don't feel that they're there. But yeah.
All right, so what does this win mean for Jeremy Pruitt? I'm going to read some comments from you guys. Chase says it means nothing. The win means nothing at all. Joe says nothing for Pruitt. Tim says it means he keeps his job for 1 more week. I'll come back to that. Matthew says it means he guaranteed himself he'll be back next year. Cody says means nothing, bro. BL says Pruitt has looked checked out for a month now. Kelkins says this game should mean nothing for Pruitt, but I'm afraid it will. And I think Kelkins is kind of coming from the standpoint of he's afraid it means he'll get an extra year, which we'll figure that out. Seth says delaying the firing for 1 more game. Chief Franco says them beating Vandy was a lose-lose, nothing to gain and everything to lose. Dustin says,
you know what, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I do too. That was a really good comment by Chief Franco there. Dustin says the Vandy game should never be a deal breaker. Vandy game should be an automatic win. But I grew up in the 90s and 2000s. Those days are over. But but you've seen Tennessee coaches get fired after Vandy games before. I mean, I believe Derek Dooley got fired after they lost to Vandy in Nashville in 2012. That has happened before. Butch Jones should have gotten canned after losing to Vandy in 2016, but he got an extra year. So for me, what it means to me, Crompton, is I feel like the win was not clean enough today to show that he's got this team moving forward. That the win was ugly. Again, only 5 offensive touchdowns on 15 offensive possessions. That is a bad ratio, especially when you add in about what this Vandy defensive situation is. Like, you have to understand and have to take in consideration of what Vandy had on the field. And I got to give credit, side note too, credit to the Vandy defense for playing hard. Like, those guys played hard.
Not just the defense, the whole team. They really did. They were outgunned from the start.
Yes.
I truly didn't think that they would score a field goal. And so honestly, kudos to them for being able to hang in this one as long as they did. I wish we would have scored more. But then again, this is also a time that coaches are saying, hey, listen, they're outmanned. We know it. We're going to do what we got to do. We're going to try to clean some things up. So that also is part of their mindset, that they're not looking to score 50, 60, 70 points, but if it happens, it happens. The thing that I look at is we were still only 3-10 on third down, though.
Oh, my God.
And now I don't know exactly the percentage of what it was 3rd and 7 plus and all that, but we've been saying all year, we got to clean up third down. And that goes back to the drawing board and how you practice. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but I'm not going to read this whole comment. I'm just going to stay on real quick to that Caleb guy.
Yeah.
And I want to preface, I was not calling him out earlier. I just like to say whose name it is. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't calling them out at all. I promise you. And if it felt like, dude, that's my bad. I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I'm not an advocate for one player over the other. I'm an advocate for the University of Tennessee having good depth at the quarterback position. You know what I mean? I want us to get back to the point where when one goes, then another's good, like down the line. And that's what I want. So at the end of the day, we know Bailey's probably going to be our starter. He takes better care of the ball, right? But at the end of the day, if Stroud stays, Stroud's probably going to be our number 2. So we need him also, that if something happens, to be able to step in and we feel confident that he is going to play well, right? We know he's going to take more chances. We all get that. But at the end of the day, I want us to have 2, 3, or 4 guys. It's not going to happen this year or next year, but we can build to that, because next year, guess what? There's still a freshman and a sophomore. That's the positive of the COVID year. So we still have 3 and 4 years with these 2 kids as long as they both stay, to build into that. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Clemson the year they won the national championship. They had to have Bryce, I think his name.
Yeah.
Right. He had to come in Syracuse and save the day. That's what I want for our program. So I'm not an advocate for one over the other. I want us to have depth, and that starts with not walking away from your players on the sideline in a teachable moment after 4th down.
Like Chris Winkie did, absolutely. Beal says Tennessee should have scored 70. I mean, I think I said a couple times this week leading up to the game that Tennessee needed to double the spread for me to actually come out of this thing feeling good. And they didn't. The spread was 15.5. They win by 25. And you add in a defensive touchdown there. And it's hard for me because of the offensive struggles in this game. It's hard for me to count that defensive touchdown towards Tennessee's benefit of the doubt. Like, I want to almost remove that. I
can't remove it.
I guess I'm looking, but the Tennessee's offensive issues, I don't think it's no surprise that in the 3 games Tennessee has, in 3 of the 4 games that Tennessee has put up 20 or more points, they've had a defensive touchdown, including tonight. So I think defensive touchdowns made the first game against South Carolina, that made all the difference. And then against Georgia, that gave them the first half lead. But I just feel like they should have scored so many more points considering the situation of what Vandy's roster is.
I'm not going to disagree fully, but I am going to disagree in the fact of some of the best teams in the country are the best teams at scoring defensive touchdowns. So I'm a huge advocate for that, because like I said earlier, football is the ultimate team game.
Sure.
You got to have all 11 guys on both sides of the ball and special teams all working together. So when our defense scores, hey, we can play the coulda, shoulda, woulda. It should have been a flag. It wasn't. That was a hell of a catch and an even better run to get in the end zone, right? Bryce literally one-handed that thing. So kudos, because that's not an easy deal to do, right?
Right. So
for me, that just takes even more pressure off the offense and special teams, because now you've just got a 7-point cushion, so to speak. So I love defensive and special teams touchdowns. I'm never going to take it away from them. I'm not going to take it away from the off or the whole team. We did what we had to do on offense tonight. It wasn't that we came out and just dominated, but we did what we had to do, which is encouraging. It is encouraging because next week we're going to have a bigger test. So at least we have a positive mindset going into that week.
Yeah, I get for internally the positive mindset means a ton. And Bryce Thompson, I think, has played his ass off this year. And Bryce Thompson absolutely deserves to have that pick 6 on his resume. No doubt about that. But again, like when I'm looking big picture at what this offense was able to do, and that was only 5 scoring drives on 15 possessions against 18 scholarship Vandy players. That's not good enough. And I recognize that they should have hung 50 plus.
Like I said, I agree with that. I'm just
they should have scored 7 or 8 touchdowns tonight offensively. So that's kind of how I feel on that, because what does this mean for Pruitt? I said earlier that this win wasn't clean enough for me to show or see progress moving forward, that he's got this team going. And this, I think, leaves the door open. If they have an embarrassing performance and they don't show up at all against Texas A&M next week, and they finish 3-7 and their 7 losses were non-competitive, now I think you legitimately have a chance and an opportunity and a reason to move on from Pruitt, because tonight was not very clean.
And that's, so you hit the nail on the head, I think, in the sense of next week, depending on how next week goes.
Yeah.
And I'm always, hey, I'm gonna plan for the worst, hope for the best. Yes, the guys on this roster are gonna go out this week of practice and they're gonna bust their rear ends, and they're not going in Texas A&M going, oh, I think we're gonna lose. That's not how it's gonna work, right? But at the end of the day, Texas A&M is number 5 in the country. Can we upset them? Yes. I can go ahead and say we can. Will we? I have no idea, right? And I say that meaning if we go out there and we do happen to lose and quote unquote fall on our face, it's going to be hard for Fulmer to justify all offseason how he or why he kept Pruitt. That's what I look at. I think it's going to be really hard to look boosters, fans, supporters, all this stuff, look them in the eye and say, this is my guy for the future, and I wholeheartedly believe it. How I don't know how you're going to sell that to the people giving the money.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I look at, because we knew we were going to win.
Yeah. Yeah, we do a Titans game day show similar to this, but we do this at the Mainstay in East Nashville for Titans games. And I was talking to somebody who said that they and their family go up to 3 games a year, and they said screw it this year because once it started to fall apart, because that's like $1,000 a weekend minimum when you're talking like the tickets, the tailgating, the parking, the hotel, the beverages, the concessions. And so he's like, what he told me literally to my face last week. He was like, why am I going to spend almost $5,000 a year to go to 3 games to watch something that's unimpressive that I don't believe in? And I think you're going to see a lot of people ask themselves that question if Jeremy Pruitt's the coach going in the next year. And especially if next season has COVID restraints lifted, right? A little bit. Hopefully that's the plan, right? Fingers crossed, everybody, that you can actually get people back in there. And you're saying, man, do I really want to spend $3,000 to $5,000 to go up there and just watch a really bad product again? And I think a lot of people are going to say no.
That's where, like I said, you're going to have to sell. If depending on how next week goes, if we come out here and we play lights out and we win, it's going to be a lot easier of a sell.
Oh, if they beat Texas A&M, then absolutely you have the ability to say, okay, he turned it around, and wow, what a top 5 win to end this season, and you're 4-6. Then you know what you do? You blame everything on Jerry Garantano.
And that's what I was about. But the thing is, that's not fair to him.
Right.
And I'm going to say that right. That is not fair to him, but that's what would happen. That is not fair to him at all.
Now, I agree with that.
Because everybody's thing is, we want to say, we would rather, or not say everybody, but in certain situations, it's a cold world. It's either them or me, and that would be the spin, but it would be a lot easier of a sell to the fans and to the boosters, the season ticket holders, to say, hey, we beat A&M. this is what really was going on. If it doesn't, it's going to be a hard, long offseason to sell that.
Yeah, and I put up a few comments of Vol fans saying, "No way that happens. No way Tennessee beats Texas A&M next week," and that's my gut feeling as well, and I feel pretty confident about that. A to Z Sports. Let's do this. Let's ask one more. Let's get one more topic in here before we head out on this Vols postgame show. I want to know from you guys. This is really for the audience here. Which quarterback should the Vols ride with moving forward? Should it be Harrison Bailey or should it be JT Shrout? You saw good and bad from both tonight against Vandy. Which quarterback should the Vols ride with moving forward? But first, let me tell you guys about Ashbusters Chimney Service, your chimney experts at ashbusters.net and ashbustersknoxville.com for sweeping and inspections this winter and leading up to the winter. When you want to have that fire in your home, get all cozy and cuddle up to the fireplace, make sure everything is as it's supposed to be to protect you and your family. Also, if you want custom masonry, there is nobody else that's as good as Ashbusters Chimney Service. They got multiple locations across the state, ashbusters.net in Middle Tennessee and ashbustersknoxville.com to cover East Tennessee. Here live on the Vols Big Orange postgame show with A to Z Sports. The final score 42-17. Which quarterback should the Vols ride with moving forward, Bailey or Shrout? I'll go ahead and read some comments, Cromp, because they're all flying in. Bailey. Crabtree says Paxton Brooks throw some dimes. But Randy says Bailey.
Punter love
for sure. Bailey. Patrick says Shrout. He looks like he's in more control right now. Cameron says if you want to keep the good recruits coming in, it needs to be Bailey. So there's a lot of different ways you can look. Cagle says Harrison Bailey would be the only reason they could upset A&M. Chief Franco says, I'm so tired of that question that whoever they will trot out there is even with the backup. Bailey coming in. Bailey, I think I've seen a lot more Baileys than Shrout. I'm not asking you to – I'm not saying this is your answer, but if you were to make the push for Shrout, what's the argument for JT Shrout right now in your mind?
Because we can throw the ball downfield more consistently because he throws a really good deep ball.
Okay.
In the sense of we can take more shots, or not can, we do take more shots.
Right.
But then again, we all know you run the risk of throwing more interceptions because he has a big, strong arm and he knows it. He's want to take more tight window chances, right?
Yeah.
So that, it's a pro and a con.
So what's your
answer? I'm going to make a case for my answer is the best chance to win consistently right now, or I would take that back, to play consistently right now is going to be Bailey because he doesn't turn the ball over. But there's pros and cons to both. That's the beauty of playing quarterback, though. You can always get better at something, and that's where I go back to the coaching staff and the person that coaches the quarterbacks. We're not helping them develop. So if we know that Bailey struggles on certain routes, we need to really hone in on those routes, right? If we know that Trout likes to get in gunslinger mode, then we need to focus on trying to not change his mindset and his game, but give him better combinations to where he doesn't get in that situation. That's why you get paid the money they get paid at that level. They're supposed to be able to do that.
And they're getting paid a lot. How about this, though? Because I do think normally ideal situation, right? Especially in the NFL when you choose your players, specifically like that, where you want your backup quarterback to play a similar style to your starter. Right now with Bailey and Shrout, you got two different type of guys, right? Two different mentalities, two different styles of play.
If you think about it, we've had that all year. Because if you put JG back in, we're not strictly, but we're a lot more under center than we are with these guys.
So how do you game plan for this? Like if you're trying to, if you're going to practice,
make it tough.
If you're going to practice the start of the week, and you're saying the goal is to put a game plan together to beat Texas A&M, which game plan is best? And how much do you have to focus on the two different game plans? Because that's
the $1 million question. Or let me take that back. That's the $1.3 million question.
Yes.
And I say that meaning, and I think Chaney does a good job. I really do. I think that there's a lot of stuff that none of us, including myself, really know. I can speculate, because I've been behind those closed doors. But am I going to 100% no? No, because I'm not behind those closed doors. But I can also tell you that I do have a pretty decent amount of inside information, and I do think that Chaney is being hindered a lot. And I could be wrong, but I'm reading between the lines in a lot of places.
Oh, I'll say this.
So I just don't think that he's able to do the things that he does really, really well because we have the young guys, right? Well, dude, they're playing in the SEC. Dude at Vanderbilt's played 9 games and he's a true freshman.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what age you are. At a certain point, you're not young because you are seasoned in that season. We have to give these kids chance to be successful. And to do that, you've got to give your coaches the ability to give them, whoever that may be, the best game plan to fit them.
I'll say it for you because I don't have any inside information on this, but I can look at what Jim Chaney has done at Georgia, at Pitt, at Arkansas, at Tennessee, at Purdue, and now at Tennessee hit for the second stint and tell everybody watching that this Jim Chaney didn't all of a sudden get bad at offensive coordinator.
Exactly.
And then Jeremy Pruitt has already run off Tyson Helton. Now that looked good PR-wise because Tyson Helton got a head coaching job. But Jeremy Pruitt already whiffed on one OC, and now the second OC ain't looking like it's the thing either. Then that's a problem with the head coach, and that's just me. But
I can tell you what I think is going to happen, just overall, no matter what happens next week, because I've been a part of a staff that this happened with. Remember what I said a minute ago? It's, at the end of the day, it's a cold, brutal world. It's me before you. Derek Ansley he's probably not going to be there because that's going to be the blame.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Ansley's not going to.
Is that the truth? I have no idea. But guess what? That's probably going to be the blame. The one person in college football history, and I'm speculating when I say that, Jim Grobe, he used to be at Wake Forest back when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And a little after when I was in college. They came to him as like, hey, you got to fire such and such coaches. And he straight up looked at athletic director and said, you fire them, you fire me. Because we're a family here. That is the most respectable thing you can do in the coaching world. Does that happen often? No.
It happened with the Titans and Michael Larkin. Yeah.
But because most people are in it for that.
Yeah.
And when you get somebody like him, that's who you want to coach and you play for. Next thing you know, Wake Forest was in the freaking Orange Bowl. Wake Forest. So that's the stuff that I hope we get back to that.
Yeah.
Where guys want to be there and they love it there. And actually want to coach these kids. Chaney loves Knoxville, and he's one of the brightest minds I've been around. And it hurts me to see the lack of creativity that he has. I mean, I've seen the stuff he can do, and that's why this year kind of hurts because we've got guys that can do it.
Yeah, you've been in those meetings. You've been getting those play calls in the huddle from Jim Chaney, and you know what he's capable of, and this isn't what he's capable of. It's not that hard to put together. Spartacus brings up Winky and Friend need to go before Ansley. I think Will Friend is an absolute fraud, and I love the alliteration on that, but Will Friend has shown me nothing that he can coach offensive line. Trey Smith is great because Trey Smith is great, and that's it, right? Like, what is Darnell Wright and Wanye Morris and Jameer Johnson looked like he was on roller skates trying to block Vandy's outside rusher several times tonight. Like, they are not getting better whatsoever. I think Will Friend needs to go, and that is a true test for Jeremy Pruitt because that relationship is probably deeper than any other on the coaching staff. And so that is one that I'm watching to see how it gets handled over the next month or two to see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially considering early signing period and all this. And I'm very intrigued to see how we handle this. I'm saying internally, meaning the athletic department, how things shape up, because this is going to tell the recruits that sign on early signing period and their families a lot about if they are getting told the truth about what's going to be done. I don't know what they're being told. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to act like I am. I'm just saying I know the recruiting pitches, and they all get told stuff. They all get told things that, especially now about early signing period. So it's going to tell a lot to these upcoming recruits of if they're being truthful to them behind, closed doors in the recruiting process.
Yeah.
That it'll be interesting to see what happens, and if things change after early signing period, if guys try to get out of that scholarship, depending on if they were told things or not. I don't know. I know that if I'm an early signee, I'm probably going to wait until to see what happens with the staff before I do anything.
I would agree. I mean, I wouldn't be signing. I wouldn't sign right now.
And that's not a slight. That's just being safe for yourself.
Sure.
Because there's nothing wrong with signing in February as well.
No, for sure. People have been doing that for decades. All right, guys, great show, great post-game show. Vols win. It might not felt like a win to some people, but the Vols won. So thanks to our great sponsors here for the Big Orange post-game show here at A to Z Sports. BioPure Music City. Protect your crew from the flu and the coronavirus by having BioPure Music City disinfect your home and your office space. BioPureService.com and Ashbusters Chimney Service, your chimney experts for sweeping and inspections before the fire goes in, or masonry, custom work if you're looking for that too. Ashbusters.net and AshbustersKnoxville.com. Crompton, I hope you guys have a good night.
Before we go real quick, I'm going to answer one thing.
Okay.
It's a great question to end this on, and asking how much of the defense is actually called by Derek Onsley, right?
Yeah.
We're not really going to know, but that's always going to be the fallback. And and like I said, I have no idea. But at the end of the day, if they do get rid of him, that's the excuse, is he is the defensive coordinator, so he's got to go. And that's the harsh reality, and it sucks. And I say that in all sincerity, it sucks. He might be calling 0%. He might be calling 100. But what they're going to do is if they try to make a change and they tell Pruitt it's do something or your job, he'll probably be the first to go because of the double-digit losses. Or the double-digit point, Yeah.
Derek Ainsley's being paid way too much money to not call plays. He's making $1 million a year.
I agree with that. I'm just saying, I don't really, since Pruitt's an old DC, I don't know, maybe they're collaborating. I have zero idea. I'm just saying that's going to be, if they do something, that'll be the reason. That'll be the excuse is, well, he's the DC.
Yeah, next week on Vol Calls. Hey, Coach Pruitt.
Oh, there it is.
All right, on that mark, let that out. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your Saturday night. Zach and I will be back tomorrow morning for our Titan Game Day Live pregame show from the mainstay. Crompton, hope you guys have a good night, and we'll see you later.
Have a good one.